I want to show you something. And it's something that I'm going to show you. Well, it's pretty cool. You can see it's about a bunch of people. And when I say people, I mean people just like you. Like there are many, many, many different types of people. And the biggest bonus is that with these people, all of those people, that their best component underneath all of those differences, the best quality underneath them all, is that they are all a lot like you. And those people make up my team. So you should join my team. All you got to do is become a member of my channel. And if you stay for a year through what's called probational, aka screening, at the end of it, you become an official team member of the SAFE BARS Project. And that project, one of the things, the really cool things that it does, is one of the ways in which it protects kids, children, tamariki. It is proactively is to protect the parents, uncles, aunties, and the rest of the whānau that's old enough to drink. And we do that by making sure that none of those old enoughs are ever being able to be groomed by one of these things. So before we watch this thing, and this type of thing is in every member of my team's country, and after I fix my country, Aotearoa, we are most likely coming to yours. So join the team, pick a level, choose a great house, and let's send a message to those things all around our world that are in our communities.
First felony offender offense, forcible rape and aggravated incest. Sentencing date, May 7, 2001. Sentenced to a total of 40 years. Parole date, August 1st, 2021. Good time, not eligible. Full term, May 2nd, 2041. Is this information correct, sir?
Thank you very much. Mr. Guillory, my name is Tony Marabella. I'm going to be asking you a few questions today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Guillory, how old are you, sir?
I'm 56.
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
20, almost 21 years.
Of the 21 years you've been in prison, what programs or what things have you learned that have really resonated with you?
I guess mainly I got a degree in theological studies. I was just talking to the chaplain here about excuse me, Warden. And I've come to more grips with my Christianity, I guess you could say, with Christ.
Tell me about that.
Excuse me?
Tell me about that.
I just, I guess I've looked at my life. I don't know, the way my life was going, everything was just turned around. I don't know, everything was just backwards.
Tell me what you mean by that.
It's like I couldn't get anything straight.
Do you know why?
No, I really can't tell you.
21 years later, you can't figure out what was going on with you back then?
Well, as far as what happened in my life,
well, right now I'm asking you about what you learned while you've been in prison for 21 years. You said I've got Christ. I said, okay. And you said I've looked back and things were kind of backwards. So what do you mean by that? I want to know what you
that's
in the 21 years what you've been doing.
I just don't know how to explain. Mostly it was a relationship problem, I guess. Now
what is a relationship?
Better relationships.
What do you mean relationship problem?
Which was really the same thing I was having problems with in my marriage. I I don't know. I guess I couldn't communicate well with my wife. I was having problems with my friends, communicating with them. And since I've been in jail, I guess because I've been around so many different personalities in prison,
Okay.
it's changed my.
So what is
Wait,
the one thing? What is the one thing if you got one takeaway from the 21 years you've been in prison? What is the thing that you kind of thought about the most?
Learning how to deal with people and to work.
How
with
about
them.
what you did to your daughter?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Oh, okay. Well,
Tell me how that even happened.
that was basically behind the relationship in my marriage. That was, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a revenge against my wife. That's something I can.
So in 21 years, what have you thought about what you've done to your daughter?
I'm terribly
I
sorry
didn't hear you
about it.
say anything about that, and that's what I was hoping you were going to talk about.
I said, I'm so nervous right now. I don't know what to say.
I understand you're nervous, and I appreciate that. But
And I
you've
can
been in
see her.
prison. You've been in prison for 21 years because you have committed some horrible offenses against your daughter.
Right.
And I would have thought the first thing out of your mouth is how sorry you are for what you've done. But I haven't heard that yet. You're blaming everybody else. Oh, marital problems, this and that. I'm trying to find out what you've learned in 21 years.
Sir, I didn't know that's where you were going with this. I didn't understand.
Well, I'm just asking questions.
But yeah, of course, I'm not sorry for myself. I'm sorry I'm in jail, of course. But yeah, I'm sorry for what it did to her and my son. I mean,
And what do
they
you
had
think
to
it's
live
done?
without a parent.
What do you think it's done to her?
There's no way to understand what it might have done to her. I don't know.
In 21 years and taking all of the sex offender treatment that you've taken and facilitating sex offenders, you have no answer for what the horrible things that this young girl might have experienced?
Personally, I can't fathom what she experienced. I don't know. I mean, I can't. I don't know. I just have no way of understanding what she might have experienced. I don't know how to explain that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain how I think she would feel.
So, how long did this go on?
A couple of months, I don't know.
And your daughter was how old?
5.
5 years old.
Yes, sir.
Are there any classes that you took have you taken victim awareness?
No, sir. It was never offered to me.
You said you've taken AA and NA and substance abuse. Have you had a drinking or drug issue?
A little bit of a drug issue while I was out there, yes.
Did you say you did have or didn't have? I'm sorry.
I did, yes, sir. With
What
drugs.
kind of drugs did you use and how often?
Marijuana. That was, I don't know, it was years before I got married.
Did drugs or alcohol play any part in this crime?
No, sir.
Have you had any mental health evaluation, or have you had any sort of treatment for mental health issues?
No, sir.
When you were arrested, did you go straight to jail and bound over for trial, or were you out on bond?
I went out on bond for 2 years.
How long were you out on bond before your actual trial or disposition of your case?
It was right about 2 years.
During that 2-year period of time, did you get any sort of psychological evaluation or any
Yes, I
sort
did.
of what did you get? What kind of
The
evaluation?
psychological evaluation. I was putting myself and my wife and my children into, we went to therapy, psychological therapy.
And so, well, tell me what you learned in therapy, if anything.
Uh, uh, I learned that I was a horrible pig and I did something bad to my daughter.
Okay. And was there any suggestions of
don't know.
things that you might be able to do to be able to overcome some of these things?
Yes, talk to a friend before I decide to act out on anything.
As a result of the counseling, did you take any kind of medication of any sort?
I had taken Zoloft for depression for a little while.
Okay. Now, you and your wife and your daughter was what, 5, 6, 7 years old at the time, right?
Right.
Did you do any individual counseling besides counseling with your family?
Right. No, mine was individual with him.
Okay.
And then he
Well-
also did counseling with them separate.
And what sort of things did your counselor suggest to you? Did y'all discuss the effects of what you did on your daughter?
I'm sure we did. That was 22 years ago. I don't remember everything he said. I don't remember what I had 4 or 5 notebooks full of notes, but I can't remember all that.
Now, you were sentenced to 40 years and you've done what, 20, how many years? 20, 21 years?
20 and a half, yes, sir.
20 and a half years. Have you been in prison? What's your disciplinary record like?
I've had 2 write-ups in the last 20 years.
Warden, can you tell us anything about Mr. Guillory?
Not really familiar with this offender. I know that he works, he's a tutor, which is another job that's needed in the institution to prepare offenders, not only to release back into society, but to help build their character and aptitude while incarcerated. Not really familiar with him. So I would let his record speak for him.
Okay.
Can't really give a character witness because I'm not really familiar with it.
Mr. Guillory, you've got law enforcement opposition and you have victim opposition. There's nothing you can do about that. I just want to kind of alert you to that. I'm going to sit back and see if any of my colleagues have any questions. I see Mr. Roche has his hand up. Mr. Roche, you have some questions of Mr. Guillory?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Guillory. How are you?
Not too good right now.
Well, I sat intently listening to Mr. Marabella interview you, and you are still in denial. You are still in denial. You're not taking responsibility for what you did to your daughter. When he asked you how old your daughter was, you said 5. She was 3 when you started the abuse. When he asked you how long, 2 or 3 months, you abused your daughter 3 or 4 times a week for an entire year. I'm reading from the indictment. The offenses happened between October 1st, 1998 and September 1st, 1999, an entire year. And she was at the age of 3 or 4. Your own family the victim's family is not certain whether you should be released or not because they still don't understand what you did to your family. Your daughter has 2 children now. She would not give an opinion. She would not oppose or she would not give an opinion. But she did state that she is in fear for her children. She is in fear for herself because she is still physically, mentally, and emotionally affected by what you did. But you would not oppose. But members of your family are in opposition. When are you going to take full responsibility for what you did? A father is booked with a responsibility. He is given the responsibility of taking care and protecting his children. You gave an excuse. Your relationship with your wife was not going the way you wanted to go. So you had a relationship with your daughter. No child should be burdened with the responsibility of to satisfy their father's sexual needs. And you have not taken responsibility 20 years later, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. I don't see any further questions. Ms. Teresa, I don't believe we have any speakers, do we?
That is correct.
Thank you very much. Mr. Guillory, is there anything you'd like to say to the panel before we vote?
Other than I confessed, I mean, and yes, I do take responsibility. If I wasn't honest, I wouldn't be in jail. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get denied, but I just want to let you know I do accept responsibility. I did that from the beginning. I just didn't know. I just don't know how to answer questions like this.
Anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Guillory?
I guess not. I don't have anything else I can say other than the fact that Katie doesn't want me out. That's fine. I'll stay in jail. It's really her opinion is to me, her opinion is her first before anyone else, even in here, yours, anybody. Her opinion is first. If she doesn't want me out of jail, I'll stay here.
Mr. Marabella, may I clear up one thing?
Yes.
The victim of this crime is not opposed to your release. She says she's going to defer to the decision of the board. Your daughter is not opposed to your release. She has some reservations about her 2 children, which she stated in her statement, she is not opposed to your release. And I want you to understand that. Thank you, Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Guillory, anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir.
Mr. Guillory, when we have these hearings, we're looking at a lot of factors. And one of the main things that we're looking at is not necessarily what the person did, but how has the person dealt with what they've done? Who are they today? You say you accept responsibility and you say, hey, look, I'm in jail. But, I don't think you've accepted responsibility personally and morally for what you've done. Yeah, you're in jail, you're serving your time, you're doing the right thing that good prisoners do, I guess. But you haven't accepted truly what you've done in this case. I asked you how long it took. I wasn't going to argue with you because I read the record. I knew how long you did this. I knew you weren't telling me the truth. All of the questions I asked you, I had all of the answers for. And you never responded appropriately. I didn't start my questioning of you. One of the things I was really concerned about is how you felt about what you had done. And that's why I opened my questions with, what have you been thinking all of this time? What's been going on with you? I had hoped and expected you to say, my God, what a horrible thing I did to my daughter. But I didn't hear that. And I hear you still fighting with that, saying, well, if she's okay, I'm okay, I guess is what I'm hearing.
No, that's
You
not
really need more programs, and you really do need to look internally at what you've done and why you did it. You got counseling at the beginning. That's a good thing. I don't know why it stopped. I don't know what developed there. I couldn't get very much information out of you. Like Mr. Roche said, I'm going to get off my soapbox. You've got law enforcement opposition. You have the crime that you committed was horrible. You've only spent about 50% of your sentence in prison. My vote today is to deny you. Mr. Roche?
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Mr. Guillory, based upon opposition from your family and the victim's family, opposition from law enforcement, and a lack of responsibility for your crime, and I want you to understand this, the victim in this crime did not voice an opinion one way or the other, whether or not you should be released. And I want you to understand that if you understand nothing else today, it is a member of your family who voiced the opposition, and it was not the victim. Thank you, Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Ms. Wise?
Sir, I've listened intently to the discussions here, and I've had the opportunity to look at your daughter's beautiful face, and I really want to extend just peace and freedom to you. Just wishing you all the best as you go forward in life. You had nothing to do with this. But as a retired probation parole officer, and I was a sex offender officer for quite a few years, I heard that a lot of times from guys that they abuse their daughter as a way, or their children in the household as a way of getting back at their wife. And I know that that is deep. That's a lot. There's a lot going on. And you need to unpack that, because that's going to rear its head again. Now, that's what Mr. Marabella is saying. You really need to reflect. You really need to get deep and go and flesh all that out while you can, while you're in prison, and you can take classes and ask for counseling. You can do that while you're here, because like I said, I heard that a lot. It sounds very familiar to me. But my vote is the same for the same reasons been already stated on the record, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Mr. Guillory, you have 3 votes to deny your parole. Good luck to you, sir.